I think I give my own topics of conversation around LoL esports enough at this point. Let's turn it all over to you with another episode of I Don't Want to Overreact, but first up on TikTok, we got Misa. What you got for me?
LEC or LCS overreactions do you have going into playoffs?
Gonna have to mute this for copyright.
That's all I gotta say. Y'all. I don't know, y'all.
Oh man, we're taking pot shots at Cloud already. Fine, I'm down. The worst part is, like, as good as I don't want to diminish like Dignitas's win by all means, like great, but they're obviously sitting at home with Shopify as well. But like, I don't understand what tangibly went wrong with Shopify. Like, how are they so demonstrably worse? They're one of only a few teams that were over in Korea boot camping during the offseason, yet you come back and look like absolute ass. Like, what do you want me to say? It's very difficult whenever I've got like friends and those that are within like the Shopify org and fans of Shopify. Like, I feel bad for them because my biggest thing is like, I want teams to be able to grow a solid brand. Okay. And while I'm happy that Shopify now has their podcast, which is great, like they really need to, and this goes for both of them, they really need to focus on content this offseason. Like, I better see at least 2 videos a week from now until the time that they return on the Rift to try and get me invested in this roster and their journey back, assuming that you're not going to make any changes. If you go radio silent and dark all the way up to the point where you're on the Rift again and then get bitch slapped again, at that point, we sit here and we question Shopify, like management, like upper management, saying what kind of culture are you encouraging here? Like, what is happening? For Palafox on Dignitas, I'm happy that he got his clap back. Like, I'm very happy that things kind of took the route that they did because it's a cool story. Now, he's going home by all means. And like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Dig is like a top 3 team, even though they were literally one FBI play away from moving on and Team Liquid going home. So like, by all means, like, there's still issues abroad, but hey, Palafox has rebounded. And clearly, one of the things that is not valued enough for him is the intangibles of him keeping a roster together and elevating them. Like, nobody thought Dignitas would be able to get above Shopify. And clearly, like, he's the, what's a good example? I guess Smithy from, like, the Team Liquid 2019 roster going into 2020 when they brought Broxa in, and turns out, like, Smithy is, like, the perfect glue player. Yeah, seems like Palafox is that. Now, unfortunately, like, the skill ceiling still feels like it's not as high as other teams, but hey, got the job done in this situation, but they're both watching from home, so it is what it is. Up next, Lost Bard, what you got for me?
I don't want to overreact, but I think the thing that made the LEC really fun to watch was, yes, Los Ratones, but actually I really enjoyed the fact that there was 12 teams and the sense of you can actually climb up the ranks, not just kind of be good or bad like the LCS, where it's top 4 versus bottom 4, you're either good or bad. And I think both LCS and LEC really need just those additional slots just for the added in-region entertainment instead of just a waiting room for international. We need those extra spots, ideally from the secondary system.
Completely agree. Now, you run the risk, because I know there's going to be a lot of people, I know Travis talked about it at the time whenever we had 10 teams, of like, oh, the 2 teams that we got rid of, do we really want them in the ecosystem? Look, I get the philosophy of like, oh, if there's only 8 teams in the league, in theory, it should be 8 better partners and 8 better rosters, but that's not, I hate to say it, but we've got years of proof now that that's not how it works in any way, shape, or form. And I think at this point, the 4 extra teams, even if they come from tier 2 and they are no-name brands to start off with, at least that gives them a chance to rise up the ranks and do something with it. I hate 8-team leagues. Like, I hate the feel of the LCS with only this many teams, and I want 12. It's as simple as that. Now, on the LEC side, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that like the 12 teams that you have now are still the ideal 12. You're going to have bad apples there as well. And it helps that by all means, the competitiveness of the LEC is at one of its best points I think it's been at in years. Like, yes, K-Corp looks good, but I think every team from the region for the most part, other than KCB, like had a chance to at least get into playoffs, and you sat here and looked at it like, okay, well, yeah, maybe they could do something in best of 3. Probably not. Like, I think it's a little bit more clear who the top teams are versus the bottom teams if you're in best of 3 or best of 5 versus the best of 1, which leads to these, kind of wacky and wonky results at points. But overall, it's entertaining. And just overall, the essence of this take being, yes, we need to focus on domestic entertainment more. I 100% agree. The big problem for me is going to be like DSG is our only promotion relegation slot in North America, and they're possibly going to make it to an international event this year. Because for those of you that don't know, the top 3 for North America are guaranteed to go to like the America. Well, I guess if you don't go to first stand, the America's Cup for 2 and 3 would also go. So I don't think they should be subject to promotion relegation. There should be, not that it shouldn't exist, but there should be a team that's also in the league, or 2 more teams to round out the 10. So if DSG is our best one, they should not have to go back to the drawing board after this year. Like 100% that should be a thing. I don't know why it's not. Well, okay, I know why it's not. Because teams don't want to split the already low revenue share. And yes, at the end of the day, yes, give me 12 teams. Con, what do you got for me?
I don't want to overreact, but it has been clear to us now after LEC Versus that Los Ratones, that rat fan base, is one that deserves to be invested in by its ownership group. Hundreds of thousands of viewers and engaged users and passionate fans watching this team should be the gigantic signal of like, this team is worth investing in and worth putting time and effort to grow even more and make it a permanent status base in the LEC. And as much as people want to be like, it shouldn't be Caedrel's job to buy in. That's the job of an owner. That's the whole point of these investments, is when something is worth something, you pay to invest in and you will make the millions of dollars back. And Los Ratones can clearly do that. I am tired of seeing people be like, it's everybody else's fault, the rats are about to die, and not the owner itself. The fans have shown throughout this whole entire split, they're going to be there to be passionate. And if Caedrel and this project just dies and those fans go away, that is as much on Caedrel as it is if you want to blame Riot for not giving them a free spot or anybody else, because he's the one who built this fan base from his viewership up to be passionate about his team. And if he doesn't want to do what's necessary to invest in them, then why should he be an owner in the first place?
Well, that's not going to make you any friends with the rats, but okay. Let's tackle this, because there's 3 different points, and I've seen Con all throughout my comments. I love you, brother, but God, what? First and foremost, I 100% agree. We are all on the same page that Los Ratones as an organization, as a community, is 100% worth investing into. And it is entirely on Caedrel at this point to see where like the next move that he wants to take it is. Separate from the LEC point. Say they don't get into the LEC or anything, like nothing happens there. I 100% agree that it is on Caedrel to make sure that this brand continues in some sort of way, whether that's tier 2, the roster obviously changing out because Baus might not want to play competitive anymore, Reckless might want to move on to a different thing. Like there's a bunch of different variables there, but I agree, like at the top, it is his job to reassure fans that this is going to be a sustainable thing and it's not just like a project among friends. And if it is, he needs to communicate that, because I think the biggest thing right now, and I know he's taking his time to address all this, and I'm sure it will come out, but like the unknown or uncertainty around this org is just going to create animosity at a certain point. And like, I'm just thinking of it if I'm a fan of it, which I was by proxy this split. Like I kind of got more invested into Los Ratones than I did any other team in this league. I want to know whether it's still worth like watching the content because they're going to be competitive at the LEC. If they turn into a sidemen thing, like just a fun with friends type thing, fine, sure, do whatever you want. But like, I won't be following them. Like I'm following for the competitive nature, and it kind of gives that old school grassroots feel. So 100% that portion, like on Caedrel to make a decision, is for him. Absolutely. Where we very quickly disagree is this idea that it's Caedrel's fault if he can't get into the LEC. And that if he doesn't want to invest more, like it's on him to do that. There's 2 parts to that. First and foremost, there's not a guarantee that he would even get a spot. Like we're talking about a league that has 10 owners now that have changed hands enough. Navi just bought their spot this past offseason. Like, do we even have confirmation that anybody wants to sell? And if they do they want to sell for a reasonable price because they want to get out? Because what happens then, if say they don't, then this is a whole mute conversation. You're sitting here blaming Caedrel for saying, oh, he's not helping them get into the LEC and take this to the next level. What the hell is he supposed to do if nobody wants to sell? That's the franchise rule. Like, that's how this whole thing exists. Second is, we're talking about like investing in the fandom. There's a difference between investing money into community events, community activities, like these touch points that this organization can have with fans at like, a K Corp X style event. And there's investing by saying, hey, I want to dump $10 million plus on a spot like this to make sure that it exists. And you're talking about like break even, make money. We don't know their finances right now. I don't feel comfortable saying that, oh yeah, the 10 million is worth it. They're going to earn it back. I don't have faith in that right now in the current ecosystem. Is Los Ratones set up to be better than most on that front? Yes, we agree. But there's no guarantee of that. So let's not act like it's a surefire thing here. And third, as it's highlighted with a buy, okay, who, same thing, massive creator, wanted to have a team in the LEC. Think about how many ownership changes he has gone through over the last 3 to 4 years by proxy of having to take capital investment to get into this league, which dilutes the amount of shares that he has, which dilutes the amount of influence and power that he has over his own brand, which is why it was Koi and Mad Lions, then Mad Lions. Like, there's 3 different fucking renditions of this org. And now luckily he's got backers that have unlimited pockets, but like, you're still giving up control and you're potentially soiling the thing that is magical in the first place by making it something that it wasn't before. And that's where I say that it is on Riot to try and create a condition where the brands that you want in the league can maintain their identities once they get there and not screw themselves in the process of getting there. Which is what happened with the initial round of franchising when you demanded this excess money that orgs didn't have. They had to give up control. And what do you know? That control unilaterally made the esport worse. Period. So you can sit here and say that it's Caedrel's fault or, blame ownership for not wanting to invest in themselves and in their community. But I'm also looking at this like, is it really an investment if you're also potentially changing the identity because you're answering to somebody else? We have enough experience in esports to know that that's a problem. And the fact that that flag is not being raised in your mind is scary to me. Like that should be there. So yes, I'm sorry. If Riot wants them in the league, they would consider expansion. As the previous take noted, 12 teams would kind of be good. I just genuinely think it's a better product with 12. Does it complicate things? Absolutely. Yes, it does. But I can't wrap my mind around going through what we went through with franchising so far and just saying, yeah, we need to continue the system as is. I just can't. I'm sorry. Hakeem, what you got for me?
I don't want to overreact, but I believe that Sentinels are going to win the LCS lock-in split. I think that they have the team to do it. I think Impact is breathing well. I think Real has been incredible. I think Dark Winds are looking incredibly great. And I think if all the chips are falling down, I think they might win the whole thing. It's not going to be a top 3, the whole freaking enchilada. Also, how'd the Bad Bunny concert, by the way? How was it?
It was good. We'll get back to Sentinels take here in a minute. It was amazing watching the reactions to the Bad Bunny halftime show for those of you. I'm assuming a lot of people around the world watched because it was the most watched halftime show in the past 6 years. Like the NFL numbers, I'll put them up on the screen here. But man, the people that said it was boring and they didn't get anything from it, I'm just sitting there like, I will never take you to the club with me. Not that you were ever going in the first place, clearly based on how you perceive this halftime show. But if you can't go to a club and just vibe to Bad Bunny, like, what am I gonna do here? Like, good, you dance with 2 left feet and have no sense of rhythm. Got it. You just kill the mood and nobody wants you there with us. So, hey, your opinion's your own, but you sure as hell ain't going out with me. Weirdly enough, I'm one of those people that thought that Lady Gaga was the odd part out of that halftime show. It was like, okay, we couldn't have, Karol G was already there. We could have done the feature, but whatever. Back to the Sentinels take. Look, Sentinels, I don't even think gets past this upcoming weekend with DSG, who I think have looked like a better team than them. Yes, Impact is looking better, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they're looking great when the teams that they beat, I had to pull this up just to double check. They beat a Team Liquid that looks like ass right now. They 2-0'd Dignitas, who aren't great. And then they already lost a close one to DSG, who didn't even have their full roster. Like, in no way, shape, or form are they even escaping this weekend, in my opinion, in a best of 5. I think Castle can match up well against Impact. Hanbok, I will agree, has looked like one of the better junglers in this league so far, but Kryra in his debut against Inspired also look pretty damn good. Darkwings might have a slight edge over Call Me. We'll absolutely give you that. But bot lane, nah, give me Sejed over Rahel at the current moment. Like that, I know everybody's high on Rahel because of how he performed against Yawn. I think that's more Yawn underperforming as well as Rahel playing well. But I just think Sejed is going to be better. Like the bot lane of DSG, I will take over the bot lane of Sentinels the entire time. And then that's not even like saying how they're going to get past C9, assuming they win that, which I just don't think happens. I think Sentinels are easy schedule merchants for right now, and that will come back to reality really, really quickly once we get into best of 5s. And I think TL honestly rebounds a little bit more and then just beats Sentinels ass. Like when I'm looking at these games, I know everybody's like, oh, you know, Sentinels could have won game 1 had Impact not gone Guardian Aatrox. I'm also looking at the other games being like, Team Liquid also had leads in those games. Like I didn't see a period where Sentinels, yes, they look cohesive come team fights, but like I still saw points where they can get taken advantage of by other teams that are just more on the same page in the mid game. That's not trying to be a dick to Sen fans. Like, good. I hope y'all enjoy it. Like, enjoy being 2-1. Sure. I just don't. I don't see the hype just yet. The only thing that I do like is I do like their play style being a little bit more aggressive, but I think there's flaws. Shout out to Golden Glue, their coach, who apparently likes keeping them fairly aggro all the time, similar to 100 Thieves last year. Down for it. It is fun to watch. Like, Sentinels games have been absolutely a blast to watch, but they're not winning the split in any way, shape, or form. You can quote me on that. I will take whatever punishment is in the comments for this if for some reason that's not the case. Oh, Beans, you got so lucky by me refreshing my Twitter feed before I started getting some text takes. What do you got to say, brother? What do you got for me? Oh, God, that's a blue water suit.
Hey, David. My hot take is that over half of the GMs in the LCS don't know how to actually properly build a roster. The fact that DSG, with around 1/3 of the budget at best, compared to every other team, got top 4, shows a lack of proper scouting being done by most other teams. I don't understand why these nepotistic hiring practices on bottom teams continue. You know who you are. It baffles me that multiple coaches out there who have publicly stated they didn't watch a single game of NACL, and then they act surprised when Ido and ThinkCard gap them. Shout out my goats.
That's the first time I'm hearing of that. We really don't have scouts or like people watching NACL in any capacity. I mean, okay, I'm not surprised given how much we've imported in this region in roles that it's like, okay, we really should be giving North American talent some chances here. But like, yeah, I agree. Like, Ido and ThinkCard have proven their case. Like, C9 is a monster right now. And they're not an unbeatable monster, but they are notably ahead of everybody else in this league. And the majority of their roster is rolled over from last year, barring APA coming in. So there's really nothing to comment there. But, like, every other roster, for the most part, like, I'm looking at some of the pieces that go in, and it's like, the Lion one, like, I will point that out from the jump. I'm just sitting there like, okay, great. They got inspired, but, like, cohesion-wise, like, it doesn't seem like it's going to work. Like, we've had these questions from day one, and they're already struggling out the gate. TL, we did have some questions about how Morgan would slot into this roster. Jose Dioto proving like a very good case here. So, like, I'm not going to say TL as much. But you look at those two programs at Fly and DSG and look at how they were built, and it's just like, yeah. Like, I like how this was built from the ground up. I like how it's working so far, and it makes it more fun for North American fans to watch, in my opinion. I can't get over the fact that you said that apparently LCS GMs didn't watch Tier 2. Like, are we not paying analysts then to go watch it? Like, there's no world where you shouldn't have tabs on Tier 2 in your region and build squads from there. Like, oh, God. I'll use this to throw in some Tier 2 information right now. They just announced the open qualifiers and, like, split for spring for them, which I still am baffled by the fact that they didn't start in winter, have some sort of off-season event for tier 2 in North America. And look, I don't pay as much attention to it. I don't have capacity. But it's so clear from this year that we are underutilizing tier 2, like underfunding it, under everything. Like, my opinion on tier 2 for the longest time has been that it should be subsidized to a certain extent by the league, whether that's prize pools, whether that's something like, I don't know. But a portion of our global revenue pool from tier 1 should go down to funding tier 2. And right now that is obviously not the case. And honestly, like, the thing that I will say is, again, to whatever team that I end up picking here after lock-in, I will cover in depth the tier 2 program, like in addition to the tier 1 on like my weekly program thing. So I will try and shine as much of a spotlight as I can, so long as it's part of the org, to try and help encourage that in any capacity that I can. But dude, that's just depressing to hear. It's more depressing than anything, and it's like, I got nothing else to add. I don't. Well said, Beans. That's it. And if any LCS GMs have a problem with that statement, come out and say it publicly. Like, don't hide behind it. Don't be like, oh, you're wrong, this guy doesn't know anything. It's your obligation to talk to us and tell us at this point. Like, I hate whenever people do that on Twitter at this point. Like, if you're in a position of power and you have an issue with things that are being said online, go out and talk to people. Okay, I got one more final video that came in as I refresh this right now. I know everybody's getting out of work and everything else. So I appreciate you all putting your takes in and putting them out there. I will keep highlighting videos over everything else. So we're not going to get to any text takes today. Maybe I'll reply to some of those on Twitter. Keep an eye out as the weeks go on. But Rusty, what do you got for me, brother?
I don't want to overreact, but I think that Blaber's on pace for another MVP season this year. And it's not because of him. It's because of APA.
Yeah.
Let me explain. The last time we saw Blaber this dominant was when he had Niski as his mid laner in 2019 and 2020. And I think it's important that we look at all mid jungle pairings in the league, because you can tell when it's dysfunctional, it makes it so hard to win games, to the point where, because it just clicks for Cloud9, they can win games even when they make mistakes. So I think it's important that we look at like Saint and Inspired. And as much as I'm a LATAM supporter, it hurts me to say that it just is not working right now, and so it makes it almost impossible to win games. Or you look at like Jose Diodo and Quid, when they're on, they just win games. Or if you look at like Hambach and Darkwings, Sentinels could have won a few of those games if they were just a little bit more coordinated. And so I think it's important that we look at these mid-jungle duos, because they're not being emphasized enough.
Honestly, I think, so there's two parts to this. One, I completely agree with like the overall take. Blaber getting MVP, I actually think it's APA that is specifically on track to do that, because it feels like he's having such a tangible impact on this roster and very much does enable Blaber to do the things. Like, look, we got a ton of time with playoffs to figure out like who that ends up being, but I 100% agree. It's between like the two of them for being like best player in the league right now. But in general, I agree. They are like the best mid-jungle duo. And I think that's also very fair, because it's something that we talk about at Worlds a lot, how mid-jungle is like the most important thing when you get to that phase. But we kind of lose sight on that and like focus more on like individual players when we're talking about domestic splits and domestic playoffs. It's like, oh, you look at the head-to-head in mid lane. But it's like, maybe we should look at the mid-jungle pairing together more often. Maybe that should be the point, especially if the team plays like that. Like, obviously, if jungle's playing for top a lot more, then maybe, you know, you adjust the comparison. But I think it's fair to say that, like, yeah, Blaber and APA are playing together or through each other a lot. At least that's my eyes. My platinum eyes, as I said in the last coach stream. Like, I'm plat, I ain't no shit. So I could be viewing the game at a much lower level than coaches will, and maybe I'm overblowing this to a certain extent. But no, I do agree. And I think it's also important for roster construction, which we kind of touched on the Beans point, is like looking at the synergy between your jungle and mid. Do you have two players that enable each other? Look at the difference of Quid whenever he was playing with Closer versus when he was playing with both Jose Diodo and River. Like, the ability to have a jungler that enables you to make these aggressive plays and go a little bit more balls to the wall really does help if that's the style that you want to play. If you have a mid laner that does want to sit back and farm, and you have a jungler that wants to be aggro, that mismatch will cause problems. It could cause issues within team fighting as well. Somebody's going to be more willing to pull the trigger, somebody's not. So being on the same page and being able to communicate that to each other, but just honestly be in sync, more be in a flow state and not have to constantly think about it because you know that your duo is going to be on the same page. Yeah, 100%. I agree in every way, shape, or form. It's very clear to me going into playoffs for both LEC and for LCS that we have two teams that are just above everybody else in C9 and K Corp, but both have shown enough holes to the point where you can see a pathway that they get upset, or they could continue to grow as playoffs goes on, sure of those weaknesses, and ultimately be fine. Only time will tell. But I will leave you all with this question, one that I have for you as we wrap up, which do me a favor before you answer down in the comments, be sure to drop a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so. Give me your percentage chance that we end up with both C9 and K Corp going to first stand. Not individually, but together, that specific combination. It feels less like a lock this split than it has in other previous ones, but I want to know if that's also the feeling for you all before we officially kick off games. So that's everything for me on this episode of I Don't Want to Overreact, but thank you to everybody who sent in their video takes. It's always good to hear from the community, get your thoughts and opinions on things, whether I agree or disagree, doesn't matter. The conversation is the fun part. We'll be back on Friday for an episode of The Pit talking about our 2 upcoming playoff matches, LCS Fantasy, and any other headlines that we got. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.